Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Ojuyenum. Today I'm going to be talking about strategic planning and policies that is used in managing assets in my company for the next 5 years. First, we're going to talk about the fundamental of an information security plan, which are the prerequisite for making this plan. First, we talk about screening. Screening, we talk about getting the right people to do the right job. Screening people who have access to our firm's data reduces the risk that they use in malicious or unknowingly to create issues. Assets, to accurately determine the security associated with the corporate data and develop appropriate handling policies. Information needs to be organized and categorized. Then policy, developing a company-wide policy that creates overarching strategy call for the IT security strategy. Now I'll be talking about the peoples and the roles. The roles of the people. I'm talking about a position for application security engineer, which is somebody that works with the applications, that configure them, that conduct risk assessment on application, that is allowed to whitelist and blacklist applications, which means it can be who can access this and that, performing penetration testing too. Also, the CISO, this is someone that plans the long-term security strategy, talking about the framework, the managing access, ensuring that the company implements proper safeguards to meet compliance requirement. I'm talking about the person that checks any incident and prevent them in future. Next, I'm going to be talking about network security engineer. This is the person that manages the network, that performs penetration tests on the network, on the firewalls too. This is the person that implements network security on policy, installing and maintaining the security software for firewall backups. Security administrator is the person that manages access, which means like control access and things like that ensure data migration is secure, configure security software, monitor data behavior for abnormal activities, and implement security policies. Next, I'm going to be talking about the plans to secure the asset for 5 years. An example will be the asset management process, which is plan for asset management process, identify the assets, document the assets, and manage the asset. Those are the ways we use in managing this asset. So first, we plan for asset management. We identify which assets that we needed. So these can be devices from routers and switches. It can be Ethernet cables, can be firewalls, can be hardware device, can be software device. We're talking about documenting the issues, which are ways that we document the issues while planning this asset management. Educate and inform readers about asset management, which means we educate our other staffs, from the network engineer to software application engineer, CISO, and everybody like that. We let them know about this. We promote the common understanding of the need for an asset management process. Identify and describe practices for asset management. Next, we're going to talk about the three ways in getting this done. The first one is strategic plan. The next one is tactical plan, and the third one is operational plan. So first, talking about the strategic plan, we're going to be using the proactive risk management, which is activities to prevent adverse security events, improve situational awareness, activities to increase understanding of the states of ongoing cyber security posture, robust crisis and incident response. This will be services to continue on interruption in a crisis. Partner for success, which is building formal relationship with other entities, is part of the broader cybersecurity ecosystem. Next, I'm going to be talking about the tactical plan. First, the tactical plan. First, we have to develop and implement, which means develop and implement a framework, Secondly, we have to hire ethical hacking and GPen testing, which is the penetration testers that try to penetrate our firewalls, that make sure that our firewalls is not vulnerable and things like that. Secondly, we check for our logs to check for abnormality, to see if somebody is intruding or something like that, if somebody is logging in outside of the work time or from a different region. And next, we adopt a zero trust approach. These are ways to make sure that we try to get any zero-day attack threat minimized by doing a daily update, daily scanning, and daily testing. Next, I'm going to talk about the operational plan. Implement a zero trust framework, which means apply network segmentations, application level micro segmentations to centralize point of visibility and accessibility, monitor and record all activities, implement API security. Next is going to be align the right remote access tools with the right use cases. This can be VPN and RDPs, how to work with them. Next is understanding the IT security versus operation technology security. We have to understand the difference between them and make sure that everything is working fine. Lastly is the robust privilege credential management practices and no password sharing. So which means we have to make sure that nobody is granting nobody access to anything. They have to talk to the administrator if their access is not working so that they can create them a new one and disable the old one or something like that. Next, I'm going to be talking about the steps to create an information security plan, these are ways to create an information security asset plan from start to finish. First, we form a security team, which is by hiring the right people, the right engineer, the right programmer, the right cybersecurity analyst, the right incident responder, IT framework, and things like that. Second, assess system security risks and threats and vulnerabilities, which means second, we have to create a team that create this access for security risk and threat and vulnerabilities, which can be the pen testers, position trier, the people that handle this phase. We identify current safeguards, which means we talk about segmentations of layers, the framework, the guidelines we put in place for security, our firewalls, what kind of firewalls we have and things like that, and how many do we have, to make sure we guide all incoming traffic. We also align, create a cyber risk assessment, which means to assess all kind of risk that we can be open to from outsiders. We perform third-party assessment risk, which means this can be outsourcing other companies to try and penetrate our network and to also watch our network while using different software systems to check this. Classify and manage data asset. This can be classifying assets and data. Assets and data, this can be devices to software, to flash drive, to everything. We have to classify how to manage this thing so that it won't fall in the wrong people's hand. And also, managing data assets is going to be another security on how to manage customer data, which means we create a very secure system for our database and our customer informations. Also, we have to identify applicable regulatory standards, which are example of NIST, CISA, and ISO 1402701. So these are guidelines that we can use to regulate our service, to make sure that we follow the proper guidelines, so that everything will align in the proper steps. We create the compliance strategies. These are ways to create strategies to these guidelines, to these previous guidelines. Next, we develop incident management and disaster recovery programs. So this incident management is to be able to acknowledge that an event has happened, and we have to create like a ticket to the upper management so they can see to it, which means they can update the system, or they can see to the 0-day threat vulnerability in the system. And also the disaster recovery program these are ways that we create redundancy devices, redundancy network in case of disaster, in case of threat, in case of flood, in case of hacking. We create all these things to block those things. And lastly, we train and test employees on all these steps from A to Z to make sure that everybody's on the same page as us. Next, these are the tips for building strong information system policy. We have to conduct regular assessment, perform risk mediation, ramp up training, update, limit, employ. Next, steps in building business continuity plans, which can be maintenance, analysis, solutions, design, implementation, test and acceptance. These are the ways we build those ones too. And in this other phase is information security policies. These are all the policies that we have to make sure that we put in place to guide this asset management in the next 5 years. This can be acceptable encryption and key management policy, acceptable use policy, clean desk policy, data breach policy, and so on. Lastly, I'm going to be talking about the applicable security policies. So these are the frameworks and guidelines that we have to follow. For instance, the NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the CIS control, the ISO, the EPA, the PCI, the GDPR, and so on. Thank you very much.